allow me to start by saying that gender inclusion can yield positive results. And also it can contribute a lot to the reduction of climate change and also sustainable strategies that will help us address the impacts of climate change and also promote equity and the empowerment of women. Therefore, finances or monies can be channeled or that have been channeled towards promoting gender inclusion leads to better lives of the families and communities and development of the women and the children especially. And also the monies that have been channeled to this also contribute to the reduction of climate change and climate resilience. Therefore, women play vital roles in the promotion and management of our environment. I gave an example of the solar stoves that we have given in our communities. And because of that, our women have a lot of time for development. They do a lot of gardening and bring the vegetables to town and gain also money. And apart from that, we also have savings groups. Out of the monies that they sell vegetables, they have formed what we call savings group. And every 6 months or 9 months, depending on the group, or 1 year, they share resources. And out of the resources that they share, they have bought themselves animals, cattle. Remember where we're coming from. We were saying traditionally women are not supposed to own cattle. But out of this, women are able to empower themselves, which is a plus on national development. And so investment of gender inclusion can give us positive results and contribute to sustainable climate change results. And it can also promote women empowerment. It increases access to education. I know there's free education now, but women are able to send their children to tertiary colleges, and also they are able to look after their children, health care of their children, and also promote economic opportunities for our women in rural areas because they are marginalized, and they've been marginalized for a very, very long time. I just want to emphasize that because of this, it also reduces discrimination because women have been discriminated for a long time, and this leads to gender-based violence. And so we need a safe environment for our women and our girls especially, so that we avoid getting into early marriages. Poverty leads to early marriages, and yet this girl does not understand the reason why she's getting into marriage at the age of 13, 14. Does she really understand the reason why she's marrying? No. And that is actually the genesis of gender-based violence. But the parents to that girl are looking at it as an economic gain. Okay? When they marry off a child at a very tender age, they will get 6, 7 animals out of that. For them, it is a gain. But for a child, that is the beginning of gender-based violence. And she is told never to go back to her parents, but to endure that mistreatment. So can such a girl develop? Because at a very tender age, she gets into an early marriage and gender-based violence. So we need to integrate gender, seriously integrate gender into climate change activities. And we need gender champions in rural areas, because 80% of the GBV cases, gender-based violence cases that we record at the district come from rural areas. 80% of teen marriages come from rural areas. 80% of child marriages come from rural areas. So there's need for a lot of sensitization and gender inclusion starting at the village level. Traditional leaders must be included when we talk about development and gender. They are key to the development of a woman. They are key to the development of the nation. Above all, traditional leaders are actually supposed to be there to protect women and not to allow women to be intimidated. So we need a lot of sensitization, starting with the traditional leaders when we look at how best we can channel monies to the empowerment of women. Now we have what they call CDF, and this is where we're trying to link women so that they also have access to that money from government. Because a certain percent of that money, I think 5% of that money, is actually meant for women empowerment, because government has realized that women are left behind. And yet in the 8th National Development Plan, we say that no one should be left behind. But for a very long time, women have been marginalized. And the 8th National Development Plan talks about equity of men and women, talks about decision making. So the president is really emphasizing on the development of women through CDF now. So finally, integration is very, very important. And so gender investment for women is very cardinal at all levels, because it will help reduce poverty levels from the homestead, from the community, the district and national level. So we must take planning of gender inclusion seriously. We must prioritize women activities and gender inclusion seriously. And I think it must be on top. When it comes to issues of land, the councils now are saying, as they advertise pieces of land, 30% must be given to women. For me, my proposal is let it be 50% automatically should go to women, so that they also own land, because development sits on land. 30% is not enough. So 50% should be given to women so that the others can compete for the other 50%.